That is loud and echoey.
And we will care for each other as the world around us unravels, and we will tend to the spark of hope that lives within our grieving hearts. And we are here now in this present moment, lifting our voices and hearts. And we are here now, we have come together, we are tending the spark of hope. Oh, may it grow. And we will care for each other as the world around us unravels, and we will tend to the spark of hope that lives within our grieving hearts. And we are here now in this present moment, lifting our voices and hearts. And we are here now, we have come together, we are tending the spark of hope. Oh, may it grow. And we will care for each other as the world around us unravels, and we will tend to the spark of hope that lives within our grieving hearts. And we are here now in this present moment, lifting our voices and hearts. And we are here now, we have come together, we are tending the spark of hope. Oh, may it grow. And we will care for each other.
That's beautiful. Of course, we always want to thank our production team for choosing just the right music to start us off. The music and the message both evoke the presence, doesn't it? Don't they? So I'm really excited today to be talking about self-care, as we're talking about self-care all month long. And you can't really talk about self-care all month long without indulging in self-care. So we can be assured that the month of June, which happens to be my birthday month, is going to be an extraordinary month of self-care. And also a lot of excitement going on. I did put out an e-blast to our community with a newsletter. And in that newsletter are several dates that I wanted to give you something that you could print out, put on your refrigerator, try to remember who's on first, who's on second, what are we doing? And next week, Father's Day, is actually our last day at the Citrus Heights Community Center. God bless them for hosting us all these months. But we have, as many of you know, signed a lease on our new building. And here's what we're doing. We're going to actually leave a little early the Citrus Heights Community Center, because we're not going to be getting into our new building until we've done some remodeling, some demolition, and then hopefully some remodeling. And so we're going to be able to use some of the money that we would spend at the community center for our remodel. So please don't let that stop you from coming in on YouTube Live and on Zoom for the next few weeks after Father's Day, so that we can be together, so that we can still connect. And as we do things to the building, which we've done a lot this week, we're going to be holding these town hall meetings on the first and third Friday at 6 o'clock on Zoom, so that you can come and hear the latest news about what we've done so far and ask questions. Some of you, we have a couple of artists in our community who have been sending me color schemes and some ideas for decoration. And we want that. We want that. I was telling the artists that if it were left up to me, I would paint everything stark white. That's not what I see, in my creativity. I see other things, but I don't see decoration and color and all of that wondrous other options. So please, if you have talent, if you have ideas, come to the town hall meeting and share them with us, because we are welcoming all those ideas. So that leads us into our beautiful service this morning. And I have missed this minister of truth. She has been away busy with her life for the last few weeks, and I have missed her, and she has agreed to be our practitioner for the next 2 weeks. Thank God. This is a minister of truth. She is a graduate of the Emerson Institute. She's affiliated with Emerson, but she's also affiliated with Centers for Spiritual Living as a licensed practitioner. So we have the best of all worlds with this beautiful being. Reverend Debbie Putnam, please pray us in.
Thank you, Reverend Sharon. And it's hard to go straight into an invocation because I'm so excited about this new building and all that's going on. And so I am so grateful for the vision of our board and our leadership that has brought us to this new potential, because sometimes it is time for growth. And this is a kind of self-care for our community as we see how much people like coming together. That's how I read it anyway. And yes, I love CSL. I'm part of CSL. It's true. So please join with me in settling into the truth of who we really are. That is always our truth. Breathing into this moment and into this space. Of course, we're always breathing, but feeling that, knowing it. There is one infinite power. There is one infinite presence, one infinite being, one infinite life, one infinite joy, incandescent. That is all that is. That is the pure movement of being. It is the movement of life. In me, as me, through me. It is the divine order that orders the very center of my being and the very center of my spiritual center, the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living. It is the divine truth of being. It is always all that is. And I know this for myself, and I know it for each and every person here, each and every person watching, and each and every person that our thoughts rest upon. And right now, my thoughts rest upon our leadership, our board, our ministers, our spiritual community, and each and every member and friend and participant in this community who gives so much, living their lives out loud as a spiritual truth. As we live our lives as spiritual moments, as reflections of who and what we really are as we grow into more and more. And so today I know and bless this particular day that focuses on self-care, this particular month that focuses on self-care. And of course, our minister and her birthday, that we know that this self-care is unfolding within us, allowing us to have more time, more power, more energy, and more radiance than ever before. It moves in us, as us, through us. We give attention to ourselves and to our very spiritual and human beings. And that is the basis for us to be able to do everything. And so in this knowing of good, of all the good we give into the world, I give thanks and release this word. It is done, and so it is. And now for our readings. Don't you love that heart? I do. The body is unconscious without the thinker. Ernest Holmes. Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. Right thinking brings new conditions. Dr. Ernest Holmes. And now for our music from Ricky Byers, From Within.
From within, I let my heart
That's beautiful. Don't you feel like you could listen to that all morning? Just kind of very wonderful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Ruth. I know you picked that out, or maybe you didn't, but thank you. So, I want to remind us 6 months in that we have an annual theme of living out loud. And sometimes it's good to kind of remember what we're doing this year. And living out loud is such an amazing vision for the year. And so monthly, we have these themes that we're also using that actually relate to living out loud. And so this month, as you all know, is embracing self-care. And today I'm going to talk about balancing self-care. And self-care, listen to this, is anything that you do for yourself that feels nourishing. Anything. And so self-care for me is not going to be the same as self-care for anyone else, is it? And I'm really excited to talk about the idea of self-kindness. I think that ups my game for self-care. Self-kindness is something that I'm looking at this week, and I want to talk about self-kindness. I want to talk about balance, nourishment, and self-kindness. And I never really thought about self-care as nourishment, and so I really enjoyed my week this week with balancing self-care. And I'm wondering, do you ever have a grocery checklist? Do you ever take a list to the store? I mean, I now use my smartphone for my grocery list, of course, and I put in. I have an app. Yes, I am leading up to. I'm creating a self-kindness app, but what I do with my app is that I put what I want to get at the store, and then when I'm at the store, I can move it into. I got that in the basket. And so I have a grocery list. Well, this week I made a self-care, self-kindness list, and I'm going to share it with you. I'm actually going to put it on our Facebook page after our service today so that we can have it and remember it. And I also made a couple of slides, which we're going to get to, not just yet, but a couple of slides about this self-care, self-kindness list as well. I don't know about you, but sometimes I forget about myself. I'm very busy with other people. Do they ever get to the top of the list for you and you kind of move to the bottom of the list or already in the basket? That thing that is most important is you. That idea of self-care for yourself, your self-kindness is more important than anything, because without it, we can't be there for anyone else. We do know this. So self-care, I'm going to kind of define it a little bit, is taking care of yourself so that you can be healthy, you can be well, you can do your job, you can help and care for others, and you can do all the things you need to do and want to accomplish in a day. That's all dependent on self-care. So do you ever do all of those things without thinking about yourself and kind of at the end feel a little depleted? Well, this idea of having a list for yourself, a checkoff list of what has to be priority, is going to help with that energy drain that we might experience when we take care of others before ourselves. Now, there is an idea called codependency, as we've heard in the past, which is taking care of others at our expense. And that can make us feel very much the opposite of those things we want to attain, such as being healthy, being well, being able to do our job, being able to help others. What happens when we deplete ourselves is that we can't do any of those things. So self-care is needed with whatever is happening around us. I buy groceries only maybe once a week, maybe once in not every day. This is a different kind of list, isn't it? This is a list we have to give attention to. every day. And, you know, I was kind of shocked at my research because I had to say, how am I doing on all this? You're going to do a talk on all this? You're going to do the talk. Okay. And so I have really made a commitment to myself and to all of you because I care for all of you and to my family and to my animals to pay attention and do something for me on my list every day. That's a huge commitment. Can we do this? Can you go with me about this? Can you join me in taking your self-care list everywhere you go rather than just that time that you're going to the store? We are talking about nourishment. We are talking about nourishment. We must greet every situation, circumstance, and condition with self-care. We must greet every situation, circumstance, and condition with self-care. You know, I know this. I teach this. And when I read this week, I was shocked. Like, how does one get shocked with something they already know? Because I become complacent. I think, you know, I'm doing great. I got this. I'm good. And then I busy myself with all the things that I want to get done, including great situations, circumstances, and conditions. And do I think get my checklist out first? I'm going to say no, because I'm honest with you. I always have been. And so let's do this together. Let's be mindful of this very important part of our wholeness. So self-care is, I wrote this. This is my little mantra for the week. And I was very smitten with myself. You know, I get very smitten with myself when I write deep, amazing, and profound things. And I wrote, self-care is our diplomat, our intermediary, always negotiating and arbitrating for our highest good. Yikes. I'm putting self-care in the front of the line. And I'm going to do that for the rest of the month, the rest of the summer, the rest of my life. That is my commitment. So when we're talking about balance, then, aren't we? We're talking about, according to Google Trends, the number of searches for self-care has nearly quadrupled since 2018. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? What happened to us in 2018 but an onslaught of situation, circumstance, and condition? To the newness of a century that we hadn't experienced since, as I say, 1918. But what else was happening during the pandemic? What else was happening? We had such a division in our country. What was happening politically? What was happening to our world, to our country? And what have we done to process that so far? You know, the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living just signed a 10-year lease to get back in the game, to come back together as human beings, touching each other, hugging one another, being in the same room together. Do you think then that we have explored all of what happened to us? All of what we experienced during this last 3, 4, 6, 8 years? It has been a giant time in our life, a giant time. Self-care requires checking in with ourselves and asking how we're doing physically, mentally, and emotionally. Physically, mentally, and emotionally. And more importantly, spiritually. And today, yes, I'm going to mention the physical, the mental, and emotional self-care needs, but I'm going to spend most of my focus today on spiritual self-care. Don't you love that idea? Spiritual self-care. So dealing with all of the news stories, do you realize that right now, today, we have more news, breaking news coming in that is absolutely, what is the word of the decade? What is the word of the decade? On the count of three. 1, 2, 3. Unprecedented. If I haven't heard that once, I've heard it 1,000 times. If we keep hearing that this situation is unprecedented, this is the first time in history this has ever happened. This is the second time we've ever experienced a pandemic. Good Lord. What are we doing to balance self-care? And why haven't I realized until now how urgent, unprecedented this is? This is unprecedented, the need for self-care. And when we're regularly taking care of ourselves, we are better able to react to things and that go on in our lives. So nourishment, because I love this idea of the grocery list. I love this idea of the checklist because I really do believe that there are so many things that we can put on our checklist for self-care. And I couldn't put them all on the list. There were so many, but I'm going to just do a couple. Zone out for a while. Connect with a friend. Put you first physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. Oh, here's one. Clear clutter. Clear clutter. Lift weights while watching TV. And the reason I put that in and left it in because it builds bone density, which could be a focus at my age. Sleep 7 to 8 hours and keep the thermostat at 67 degrees Fahrenheit for the best dozing environment. Who knew? I think that's fantastic. After shower, switch to cold for 30 seconds. After a warm shower, switch to cold. Icy temperatures help release endorphins, which could have an antidepressant effect. I'll let you know if I pull this off. I will get honest with you if I'm literally going to pull this one off. Refill your water bottle every 30 minutes to an hour. Refill your water bottle. It depends on how big your water bottle is, of course. Tea is a major source of naturally occurring heart-healthy flavonoids. And taking in a daily dose of at least 200 to 500 milligrams of these flavonoids can help keep your ticker ticking efficiently. Who knew? I just love drinking tea. Eat fruit instead of cookies. Again, I will let you know if I'm able to pull this one off. In your pantry, move healthy staples in the front and put processed foods on the high shelf. Take a 15-minute midday walk to boost concentration. Of course, mani-pedi, and that means men. My beloved has discovered the nail salon is a wonderful place. Create a yay list. I liked this one. Write down anything that made you say yay during the day. You know, we say create a gratitude journal. I like this one. Create a yay list. I can do that. Give your eyes a break. Every 20 minutes, take a 10-second break to look at something 20 feet away. Interesting. 20 minutes of yoga breathing, a few minutes of me time. Let the sun in first and leave your shades open. Being in nature, plant something. Of course, volunteering gives people purpose, which raises self-esteem and lowers loneliness. You know, yesterday I drove to Oakland to attend the Holmes Institute and the School of Leadership graduation of 7 new ministers. Did I have to go? No. Did I have to drive an hour and a half each way? Actually, a little longer on the way home? No. What did it do for me? I remembered 12 years ago when I graduated, and ministers from all over, from long distance, flew in, came from Southern California, far and wide, to process down the aisle in support of my graduation. What did it do for me yesterday to stand for my new colleagues and welcome them in to the circle of ministry? What it did for me is choking me up right now. I represented my community, and more than anything, I showed up for myself in service to what I believe. Wow. So volunteering gives people purpose. Here's one: discover a new podcast, moisturize, pamper yourself, laugh with someone, plan a getaway, take a class or a new course, make a mantra, join a free online support group, and many, many more. Dance with abandon, do a hobby, and so on and so forth. There's so much more. It's endless, to be honest. And so when I talk about nourishment, I ask you, what nourishes you from your self-kindness diet? What nourishes you from your self-kindness diet? I would love to hear. I would love if you put in the chat, if you're watching on YouTube Live, if you put in, tell us something that nourishes you from your self-kindness diet. Something relaxing and calming, something intellectual, spiritual, physical, practical, or something you need to get done. Getting something on the to-do list done. That's wonderful? It could be anything that they say floats your boat, anything that puts a smile on your face, anything that makes you feel cared for, even if and especially when you're caring for yourself. And Ruth, I made a slide. I made actually 2 slides. They're kind of the same slide. They say the same things, but they look different. And so I included both slides because I thought, well, if this one doesn't appeal to you, maybe the other will appeal to you, because really this is about shaking up and bringing to the forefront of your mind the most important and urgent thing that sometimes we put on the back burner. Am I right? I mean, yes. So knowledge, health, this is a beautiful 7 pillars of self-care where we talk about mental well-being, physical activity, healthy eating. You can see this. Good hygiene. Let me see the next slide, Ruth, and these will go on our forever archive. Excuse me a minute. I'm going to take care of myself right now and have a little sip of cold water. Ah, that's delicious. That is really soothing. I was getting a tickle. Didn't I just demonstrate what I'm talking about? Hey, I think this is taken. I think it took. this week. I think something has shifted in me that is very, very special. So health literacy, health, learning about your health, learning about our bodies, self-awareness, physical activity, all of these things. I like this, risk avoidance. Don't you like that one? Do you ever put yourself at risk? Do you ever think about it first? Am I putting myself at risk here? Is that in my best interest? Sometimes I just act. I just move along. Do you do that? Do you just move along and sometimes mindlessly without thinking about how important you are? I love this idea of risk avoidance. I like that one of the ideas in the self-care list is say no. You can say no. Yeah, I've learned that actually later in life. I think when you're a mother, you say no all the time to someone else, but you don't rarely say no in your own defense. Thank you, Ruth. Be sure to look at these slides and have a look at them and ask yourself, what nourishes you? What nourishes you from your self-kindness diet? And the idea of emotional self-care, such as self-talk, we've talked about that before. Negative self-talk, we don't need that this month. Actually, we don't need that ever, do we? Bubble baths, saying no, of course. Physical care is like prioritizing sleep, as we talked about, exercise, spiritual self-care. Let's talk finally about the thing that I really want to talk about today. I really want to spend some time talking about spiritual self-care. Do you know that if you are sitting here right now listening to me, or sitting here later on and listening to this talk, that you are literally indulging in spiritual self-care? Do you know when you have those books on your bedside table and you just pick one and you open it randomly and point your finger and look, and God sends you to that perfect reading for the day, that's spiritual self-care? Do you know that just relaxing, meditating, and I'm not talking about meditating in transcendental meditation and you have to be an expert meditation. I'm talking about just relax and use different types of breathing. You can Google all kinds of yoga, breathing, meditation. You can Google and go to YouTube for a guided meditation. I mean, we are so blessed with the library of opportunity we have for self-care online. Again, I didn't really hear until I was doing the research about free online self-help groups or support groups, grief groups. Today, the topic was grief and self-care in the notes. And I thought, gosh, grief is just one aspect. I mean, that's just one thing we're dealing with. Grief is huge and beautiful and wonderful and life-changing, and it's only one aspect of what we are coping with and dealing with in self-care. So yes, dealing with grief, pet loss, all of it. Spiritual self-care is a practice that any ritual that connects you to your true self, the real you, is advantageous and considered self-kindness. Self-kindness is kind of that's my new jam. I just love that idea. The real you is the raw expression of who you were meant to be and offer this world. This is your soul work, your soul work. This is where we fill up. This is where we connect with others. This is where we come to our community center. This is why we do what we do. This is where we get a sense of belonging and all the things we've talked about in living out loud this year. And there's there's so much going on right now in the news, in podcasts, in news briefs, in news items, in stories all around us of how church is changing. The evolution of religion and church and oneness and wholeness and dogma, and what is feeding us, what is the nourishment of our spiritual self-care and self-kindness. This is evolving rapidly because we are evolving rapidly. We have the internet. We can go online. We can get filled up by attending a podcast or a service held by a wonderful, inspirational speaker in another land instantly. And so what are we doing to discover for ourselves what nourishes us in spiritual self-care? And luckily for me, I have found that the science of mind resonates with me. It has resonated with me since 1994 when I first found it. And it still today shakes my soul. Yesterday at the graduation, Karen Drucker was our music in person. Reverend Dr. Edward Viljoen, who was just our world community spiritual leader, was our keynote speaker. Did I get filled up? Was it worth the drive? Oh, Lord, was it? And what was so fun about hearing the commencement of this guru mentor of mine is he talked about the call to ministry, which is what I'm talking about right now. We all have a call to ministry. We all have a ministry. We are all ministers of God's work. We are all practitioners of truth. Some of us have a license. Some of us just decided that that was it. That was the end all be all, and that's what I'm going to do as a vocation. But all of us are called. And when we hear that still small voice and we answer, we are indulging in self-kindness. We are indulging in self-care. And so what did he talk about? He talked about the call to ministry and reminded me, and it was very funny. I really hope it's recorded because I would love to hear it again and again. And I told him so afterwards. I said, you know, Reverend Edward, I came here to hear this because I go to graduations to hear this very topic of why we answered the call to ministry and how we're fed, and that it is not for sissies. And he made me feel so good. He energized me and made me feel like I could just get back in my car and come home and stand in front of all of you with such conviction, such inspiration, and such joy. And yes, is it always easy? Actually, ministry is the fastest way to self, as you say, and I've said that about my marriage and other relationships as well. But ministry is absolutely my way of nourishing myself with self-care. And you know, spirituality has different meanings for different people. And sometimes it is influenced by the ideologies that we grew up with. And maybe we associate spirituality with religion or cultural traditions. And maybe there's more. You know, maybe we don't have to give up what we knew and what we grew up with to come into this teaching. This is icing on the cake. This is an addition. This is pure potential to have even more in life. And I'm telling you, we are experiencing that not only individually, but as a community. We just signed a 10-year lease on a building. We just said yes to growing our community for the sense of belonging to share a teaching of science of mind that includes all paths to God, that honors all paths, all people, all colors, all people, and animals, and the earth, and all sentient beings. Yes, I believe. The artichoke believes. It's so exciting. Yes, I did very much come from a graduation. Yes, I did hear this keynote speaker. Yes, I did hear Karen Drucker and sang along with her. And yes, I did come home to you. And yes, I'm in love this morning, and I am incredibly devoted. I am in. So, do you sometimes feel like your spirituality includes many things? How about a walk in nature? You ever take a walk in nature and kind of feel like, got my God today? I got filled up. I love the water. I love to be in my fishing boat with my feet hanging over the side, my head back, the sun coming shining down on me and shining and glistening over the water and rocking back and forth. And in those moments, I feel like I am at peace. And when I come back from that, something has shifted. The things that were important to me before I got in the boat aren't necessarily important to me anymore. And I'm glad. Sometimes it's just about letting go of that which doesn't serve our nourishment, self-kindness, or self-care. And no matter what path is chosen, the idea is to connect, have purpose, and experience joy. We become familiar very quickly as to what fills us in that way. Like the grocery list of self-care, like the list of self-care, could you not join me in prioritizing, nourishing your soul? Are you, anybody in for that? Anybody? You know, you can be the healthiest person, the wealthiest person, the busiest person, and still feel like something is off. Something is off. You can be intellectually, mentally, emotionally, physically, just like, gosh, I'm good. But something, I didn't get that dessert. You know, we had this amazing meal and I had this amazing, my gosh, we had everything. We had the bread and the olive oil and the herbs, and we had and I got just what I wanted on the menu. It was cooked just right. But I didn't get dessert. And you know, spiritual self-care fills that loneliness that is an epidemic in our world today. Why do we have community? To connect with each other. You know, when I went to the graduation yesterday, I went back to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. That was my former center. I do call it my home church, but when I saw Dr. Edward Villion, I realized my home church is in Santa Rosa. That's where I got Science of Mind back in the 90s. And that was my church. I did, all the way through my prac studies there. That's my home church. But I also spent 11 years in Oakland, and I consider that my second home. And sometimes when we go home, we're reminded that it wasn't always good. There were some painful things that happened at home. And I pushed through those yesterday. I looked around and I thought, oh my gosh, the one person I would always see first when I came home was Richard Robertson, our practitioner. And he made his transition. And I saw Jerry, who Jerry was a practitioner at the time I came to the center, and I said, you are a minister. And she went on to ministerial school, and I saw her as well. And she and I love Richard so much. And I said to her, well, I miss Richard. And we had a moment where she said, we're going to take Richard's ashes to Asilomar this summer, and I'm going to Asilomar. I was so excited to hear that, but it was painful. I had a missing, a longing for some people I barely recognized. It'd been so long since I've been there. And some of the memories that I had there, I had to feel them yesterday. I had to feel some of that. But I pushed through that, and I pushed through that for my own well-being. We can be all that we can be, but without that spiritual fulfillment, we have more to do, don't we? We have more to do. So I'm going to conclude here, because I know we all need to go do some self-care. We all need to go practice what I preach. That self-kindness is emotional, physical, spiritual, mental self-care, and that one part can't be missing. Watch our self-talk again. Say no to things, go for a walk, do whatever floats your boat. I say that because obviously I love to float in my boat, so it's pretty easy for me to say that. And come be with us at the Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living. And one thing I do want to ask is, for those of you supporting our center, when you watch online, go to the donate button on our website. Donate right now, because we're in the process of spending a lot of money with the demolition, with the remodeling of our center, but we're building this together so that we have a place to be together. And I keep envisioning so much going on there: drumming circles and yoga and meditation and fellowship and community, and so much that we can do together. Concerts, and of course Sunday service and Sunday celebration, seeing children up there. It is going to be an explosion of connection and belonging. And please, in the next few weeks, when we are not meeting, remember to show up this way. Show up, join us, come together, and be fully present and participatory. Donate, tithe, and share yourself and connect with us. Come to the town hall meetings. Be a part of this new center growing. And I really ask that everywhere you go, as you are thinking about self-care and self-kindness, think about us together as a whole community, and put that attention of self-kindness and self-care toward the bigger idea of all of us. Participate, connect, serve, volunteer, show up. Show up. And showing up is loving up. Showing up is loving up. And feeling you show up for me, I don't think it gets better than that. Let us pray. And there is one absolute, magnificent, almighty presence that we celebrate today, as it is everywhere showing up for its creation. It is generous, it's abundance and light and love and joy and harmony and peace and all that is absolute good. And that good is my life. That good is my life, demonstrated as self-kindness and self-care. So I am light and love and joy and peace and harmony and abundance. I am an abundant, celebratory, rejoicing spirit of the Almighty. And I know that for each one of us. And guess what? We're connected in that joy, in that knowing. And so I declare an abundant Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living, a beautiful place of worship, a beautiful place where artists have decorated it so that the minute you walk in, you know you have walked into something very special that makes you want to pray out, that makes you have a sense of belonging to one another, makes you want to take care of it, participate in it, bring people to it, families and children, music, and like mind. Something to grow us, teachings that are aligned with our teaching, that teach us something new, a new way of being, a new way of thinking. And what we build then goes out into the world in absolute perfection, changing lives. It just doesn't get better than this. We are all ministers of God's work. We've answered the call. We hear the voice. We trust it. We belong to it, and it belongs to us. And I'm grateful for this answered prayer. And I release my word into the law that as we are learning in the greater world, there is one law, and it is true for all people. There is one law, and it is true for all sentient beings, and it knows how to get things done. We don't have to know how. Howie knows how. And so we just trust, release the word. It is powerful. It is done in mind, and it was done before I even spoke. So for this and so much more, we say together, and so it is. Amen. Ashe. Shalom.
I am healed, whole and healthy. I relax and visualize. I am healed, whole and healthy. I am well, I am well. I am healed, whole and healthy. I relax and visualize. I am healed, whole and healthy. I am well, I am well. I am healed, whole and healthy. I accept and I receive. I am healed, whole and healthy. I am well, I am well, I am well. I am healed, whole and healthy. Angels are watching over me. I am healed, whole and healthy. I am well, I am well, I am
I am saturated. Thank you so much, Reverend Sharon. And just as Reverend Sharon has given us this offering of not only this incredible guidance in self-care, but has also offered her modeling of appreciation and basking in what self-care felt like. So we kind of got this double whammy. Our center is also offering to us this new place to live spiritually, if you like, this new home. And so we are offering, and this is our opportunity to give, to offer back in this sort of exchange of the divine, right? This financial giving that is a sacred service. For as we give, and I know many of us give incredibly generously, as we give, so we receive, and more besides. And so please give, open up your hearts and your pocketbooks and generously donate to this endeavor that we're embarked on, because it benefits us, it benefits you, and we love you. Thank you. And join with us in our abundance affirmation. Know this for yourself, abiding by the law of circulation and in heartfelt gratitude. I affirm that I live in a creative and abundant universe that continuously flows through, in, through, and out as me, expressing as the ever expanding infinite good. And so it is. And so now for our latest news, you know, the big news is the move, our last in-person Sunday and all of that. So you've heard quite a bit about that. Attend our town hall meetings to find out more about what's going on and how you can participate and to connect with our community. So we have this big thing going on July 15th. Other than hopefully opening in our new location in July, we are also serving through this organization called Cafe, Clothing and Food for Everyone. And this organization every Sunday provides food to 200 to 250 people. They have more than 400 volunteers who are contributing to them, and all of it is 100%. The administration of all of this is free. All of the donations go straight to those who are benefited. So show up at Rush Park on July 15th at 9:30 a.m. See the very last item where it says money. Organizations always like money because they know what to spend it on and they know best, but also they are welcoming gear, hygiene, clothes, food. And this is part of our mission to serve our community just as we serve you. If you have questions, reach out. And then there's our website. So this is a place to find out about this giving, about our new home, about things like Busy Hands, Warm Hearts, all the things. Go to our website. It is beautiful and amazing, and it's just kind of fun to go there. So prayer requests. We've been getting a lot of these and we welcome more of them. Prayer is part of our sacred service to you. Go to www.saccsl.org and request prayer online, and it gets sent out to our ecclesiastical team where we all pray on it. We've had some powerful demonstrations. YouTube Live, sign up for, click to join our YouTube channel because this helps our visibility. Join us on YouTube Live on Sundays, even when we're not in person, and still when we are in person, we are also on YouTube Live so that you can always see these services, and they are recorded for later as well. So join us. And then above and beyond all today, join Reverend Sharon in embracing self-care. This affirmation is for you. Please say it as I do. I now release all that no longer serves me, and I choose to embrace joy. Now join us for our benediction, followed by our closing song, and fellowship will take place in the chat on YouTube or in the Zoom room if you're in the Zoom room. And now for our benediction. There is one power, as has been spoken, one presence, one infinite good. And this infinite good flames through us as the growth of our very being, through self-care, through self-love, through self-kindness. We embrace the good that is ourselves just as has been spoken here. And in so embracing, we are energized and empowered to go through all of the things we choose to do in the world. And these get richer, kinder, more joyful, and more blessed. And so we bless the world as we are blessed, as we bless ourselves. And today we make the decision to put ourselves first, to embrace self-care, to embrace self-kindness, and make this our daily spiritual, emotional, mental practice. This is the truth right here and right now. I give thanks. I give thanks and release this into the law that says, yes, it is done, and so it is. Closing song.
Love be with you, love be with you, peace enfold you, spirit lift you, breathe it in, truth come through you, make good flow to you, and let joy renew you till we meet again. Love be with you. Ooh, love be with you. Sing that with me. Ooh, love be with you. Ooh, love be with you. Love be with you. Peace enfold you. Spirit lift you, breathe it in. Truth come through you, make good flow to you, and let joy renew you till we meet again. Love be with you. Ooh, 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 love be with you. I love you all.